Okay, so 7.4 homework here, page 514. We're going to look at number 41. So 41 starts f of x comma y equals 1 over x plus 1 over y plus x times y. And we have to find the values of x and y such that the derivative with respect to x equals 0 and the derivative with respect to y equals 0. So we have to find these two spots here. So what's the derivative with respect to x? So 1 over x is x to the negative first, right? What's the derivative of that with respect to x? Yeah, it's negative 1 x to the negative second, so negative 1 over x squared. Sounds good. What's the derivative of y to the negative first? 0, because it's a y and we're doing it with respect to x, so this goes away. And then back here, which one do I treat as a constant? Y. So I would pull the y out, and the derivative of the x is just 1. So this is that first one, right? So I'll set that equal to 0. And then the other one I set equal to 0 is the derivative with respect to y. This piece would go away. This piece is going to be negative 1 over y squared, and then plus x. And I'm setting that to 0. So any questions on the derivative pieces? Those we should be pretty good at, hopefully. And we're trying to find when these both equal 0 simultaneously. So what I'm going to do is solve the top one for y, and then plug that in the second one. So I'm going to use substitution. So if I solve this top equation for y, I get y equals what? One over x squared. I just add this over, right? So 1 over x squared. And then I'm going to plug that into this one. So it used to be negative 1 over y squared. And instead of y, I'm going to put the 1 over x squared there. Plus x equals 0. All right, so this turns into negative 1 over x to the what? If I square this, what's this going to become? X to the 4th. And instead of dividing by this, I can multiply by the reciprocal. So what would I get? Negative x to the 4th. So I have negative x to the 4th plus x equals 0. And then I'm going to try to factor this. What factors out of both? X or negative x, I think will be easier here. So I would have x to the 3rd and then minus 1. So either this is 0 or this is 0. If this equals 0, what's my x? 0. And if this equals 0, I would have x cubed equals 1. So x would equal 1. So I either have x is 0 or x is 1. Now, if I go back and try to plug that in to find my y, which value doesn't work? 0, because you can't divide by 0. So that one's out. So it's just x equals 1. If x equals 1, what's y going to equal? 1. And it just says find the values of x and y such that they both equal 0 simultaneously. So these would be our answers here. Does that match the back of the book? I just solved this for y is what I did to start. So I just added this over. So that's where that came from. And then we could just substitute it in. That's why we did that. Any other little pieces? So that was 41. All right, so 59, we're starting with this cost function, 10, and instead of xy, the square root of that, I'm going to say xy to the 1/2, same thing, plus 149x plus 189y plus 675. Okay, so it says a company manufactures 2 models of bikes. We got mountain and racing. The cost, X is the mountain bikes and Y is the racing bikes is given there. Part A, find the marginal cost. So marginal means the derivative. So we're doing the derivative cost when x is 120 and y is 160. So do I plug 120 and 160 in first or after? After. If I plug it in first, wouldn't I just have a number and I'd just end up with 0 if I took the derivative? You have to take the derivative first. So which part do I want to do? dc dx or dc dy? Okay. So I'll do it with respect to x here. All right, this 10 is just a constant, so it just stays out front. What do I have to do if I have something to the 1/2 power? Bring it down front. So if I have 10 times 1/2, I would get 5. And this x times y is going to be raised to the what power? -1/2. And then you have to multiply by the derivative of the inside. Now this is with respect to x. So what's it going to be? Y, because that's my constant. Okay, and then what's the derivative of the 149x? 149. What's the derivative of 189y? 0. What's the derivative of 675? 0. So all this other stuff just goes away. You don't need to write the plus 0. So if I rewrite this, I would have 5y over square root of xy, and then plus 149. And then you can go ahead and plug in the 120 and the 160. So try it from there. And then you still have to find dc dy, plug them in. The x is, well, it says x is 120 and y is 160, but x is your mountain bikes and y is the racing bikes. So you guys can finish up 50. Okay, so now starting number 61 here. We're given, consider the production function, so we're given our f function here is 200, which is just a constant. X, whoops, I put 2,000, don't want to do that. There we go, 200x to the 0.7, y to the 0.3. And then I'm given x is 1,000 and y is 500, so I'll be using that in a little bit. So find the marginal productivity of labor. So we're trying to find the derivative with respect to x. So if I'm finding the derivative with respect to x, what's constant in this problem? The 200 y to the 0.3 is constant. So that comes out front. And the derivative of this piece then is you pull the 0.7 down, you leave the x alone, and it would be to the, if you subtract 1, it's going to be to the what power? -0.3. Okay, then plug these into there, and that should get you the right answer. Same idea for part B. Okay.